Hey, what is up everyone? Welcome to MST.TV. This is Nishi here, bringing you all another Market Watch episode. So we just had a huge Banlist drop yesterday, which was really cool. Lots of really big, interesting hits. I mean, like, admittedly, some of them did feel a bit excessive or unnecessary, like hitting ABC Dragon Buster or TG Hyper Librarian, but I'm really excited to see how the meta will shape up with the new Banlist and the new Master Rule whenever events do start up again. Now, originally, I was going to do sort of like a Duel Overload investment type of discussion here, but I figured I would wait until we had a new ban list, which was due really soon, and then we actually got it, so I'll hopefully be posting that sometime early next week. Anyways, guys, with these changes, there are, of course, a ton of things that have happened with the market as well. We're not going to be covering absolutely everything here, because I think it's kind of obvious with something like Totally Awesome being limited, that card is no longer nearly as valuable as it was before. But we are going to be covering some of the more noteworthy changes that did happen, as well as some other changes that have taken place over the last couple of weeks or so that you may not have noticed. Let's jump right into it. So right off the bat, Mecha Phantom Beast O-Lion is one of the few good tuners that didn't get hit on the list, as we saw Steam the Cloak, Glow Up Bulb, and Destrudo all get banned. Naturally, a lot of people are looking at O-Lion as a solid replacement for a tuner monster that can be summoned off of Needle Fiber, as well as generate a token when it's sent to the graveyard. Now, because of this, it has jumped up in price, being around only $4 before to $10 a piece now. O-Lion only has one printing way back in Primal Origin, so even though it's just a rare, it's a relatively difficult card to find. Of course, if you already have your copy of O-Lion, then congrats, that's really convenient for you. However, I do think there's a very good chance that we're going to see a reprint of O-Lion as either a common or super rare in the next OTS tournament pack, which should drive the price down considerably. Therefore, I wouldn't freak out too much if you can't find this card right off the bat, especially with the lack of major events coming up. So one of the other notable tuners that wasn't hit on the ban list is Jet Synchron. This card is really cool because you can summon it out of the grave by sending a card from your hand to the graveyard, which is cool because a lot of different effects can activate out of the grave. Now, this buyout was a little bit of a weird one to me, but we did see the super rare version jump up to around $5 a piece just yesterday. This is just a Structure Deck super rare, so even though it's a relatively older card, it's not like there's extremely few quantities available on the market. There should still be quite a few floating around there. And at the same time, this card does have two very accessible common printings, most notably in Legendary Duelist Magical Hero, so you should be able to pull them out of you or your friend's bulk. So yeah, definitely nothing to be freaking out about. Unless you really want to play a super rare Jet Synchron, I would go ahead and move your extra copies and then just play the commons for now. So there wasn't very much that actually came off the list. I think most of the changes we saw this ban list were cards getting hit. However, the only card that actually went from being banned to limited is Zoodiac Drident, one of the most notorious monsters in Yu-Gi-Oh history. Drident was a really scary card in the Zoodiac era, as it had a quick effect to pop a face-up card on the field, and it gained stats based on the Zoodiac monsters you put underneath it. This, combined with the consistency with which the deck was able to put out multiple Xyz monsters onto the board and generate advantage with Norden and Daigusto Emerald, was really oppressive. Now, however, we have Ratpier Limited, Broadbull Band, and Barrage Limited as well. All of these hits together hurt the consistency and strength of not only the pure Zoodiac deck, but also the potential of using Zoodiac as an engine. Now, this hasn't stopped Drident from shooting up in price. We're currently looking at around $5 for a Megaton Secret Rare and $8 for an original print Secret Rare. However, I don't think that Drident is going to be nearly as powerful as it was before, so I don't think it will have any relevance in the meta. Even though we did see some people using Barrage and Thoroughblade in some Lunalight builds, we now have Tiger Band, and then we have Barrage Limited, so it's probably not going to see play there at all. This is just another card that I would try to sell into the hype while people are excited about the card finally coming off of the ban list. In addition to the ban list we just got in the TCG yesterday, we also got a new ban list in the OCG last week, and I think one of the biggest surprise changes on that list was the limiting and errata of Makiura the Destructor. So whereas Makiura has been banned for the longest time because of how easily it facilitates FTKs, its effect has been nerfed to just allow the person who sends it to the graveyard to activate one trap card from their hand that turn. Obviously, This is a much more manageable effect and isn't going to be abused as much. There are, however, people considering how it might be worth looking into, how to search this card with a sold, and then find a way to get it into the graveyard to activate a card like Solemn Strike from your hand. So definitely cute. I don't think it's anything too game breaking though. However, we didn't actually get this change in the TCG yet, so nothing that we need to be concerned with immediately. Makiura is a really cool card, and it only has one holo printing from Dark Beginnings 1, so if you have the DB1 Super and want to hold on to it for your collection, that's fine. If not, you're now looking at a $30 card lowest on TCG Player. Alternatively, the card does have a number of different common and rare printings, I believe primarily from battle packs, so if you do want to pick up a copy of the card that's cheap, just in case the card does come off the list or get errated anytime soon, I would go ahead and grab one of those. Okay, so next up we have a card that was bought out a couple of weeks ago, but I guess now the new ban list makes it look like it was a really bad target. Mavelis is a winged beast level 4 instant fusion target that can be used to help make the new Simorgh Link monster. However, now that instant fusion is limited, I don't know how many decks are going to be dedicating their extra deck slots to instant fusion targets. Realistically, with one instant fusion in the deck, you're playing just one target, either an extender that meets your deck's specific requirements, or Thousand Eyes Restrict / Millennium Eyes Restrict. It is possible, but I don't think a lot of people are going to want to dedicate 2 whole slots to targets for a limited card, even with Predaplant Verte Anaconda in the game. As a result, you're probably going to see the demand for these instant fusion targets shrink, which will cause the prices to drop a bit as well. So before this, you were looking at a whole $15 for this short printed common from Astral Pack 4. Now, however, you can expect this card to fall to right around the $5 mark, the same where a lot of other short printed Astral Pack common fusions have fallen as well. As a side note, I would keep an eye on Millennium Eyes Restrict as well if you're still holding onto it, as with instant fusion being limited, it's going to be a much less attractive option for a lot of players. Alright, so now we're going to take a look at some cards that have gone up in price because other cards from their archetypes saw reprints in Duel Overload. So in Duel Overload, we saw both Magellan and Chocolat a la Mode reprinted, which knocked off about $200 from the price tag of the Madolche deck. However, with more people looking to build Madolches now that the cards are cheaper, we've seen other cards from the archetype jump up in price, the most notable one being Madolche Angeli. We talked about this card a couple of weeks ago when it was around $25 a piece, and now it is all the way up at $40 each. This is pretty crazy since even the Megaton reprint of this card is about this price now. If you really want to play Madolches over the next little while with your friends or something, I guess you could grab them. However, I think that the smart move is to wait until Battles of Legend comes out later this year, because I think it's extremely likely that we're going to see it reprinted in there. Another card that was reprinted in Duel Overload is Cyber Emergency, a card that was around $40 for the longest time and was kind of a huge paywall that deterred people from playing Cyber Dragons. Now, however, Emergency is only a $5 card or so, and so people are looking at Cyber Dragons as a fun budget alternative, with a lot of cards already being reprinted in last year's Megatons. However, there are a couple of cards that have started to creep up in price just a bit more and more as people are looking to pick up the deck, cards that have not yet been reprinted. Cyber Dragon Nachster was originally released in Dual Power last year, but still hasn't seen a reprint. Despite being only a $5 card or so for the longest time, it has now slowly made its way up to being $10 to $12 a piece. Personally, I actually think that this card is going to climb up a bit more, maybe to around the $15 to $20 mark, before tanking in price after it most likely gets reprinted in this year's Battles of Legend set as well. So the same idea as Nachster here, but Cyberload Fusion is instead a super rare from Legendary Duelist White Dragon Abyss, a side set that didn't really feature any extremely meta or game-breaking cards. Now, because so much less of that product was opened, we've actually seen a much bigger price spike with Cyberload Fusion, as it is now a $29 super rare with such fewer quantities available on the market. Now that is a bit high, especially for a card that's just a super rare. However, unless we see a really huge resurgence of Cyber Dragon players, I think that we're unlikely to see this card have a reprint before 2021, because with these Legendary Duelist side sets, it does take a bit longer for these cards to see their first reprints. That being said, I'm expecting this card to fluctuate between the $20 to $30 price range, depending on how much demand and meta relevance the deck actually sees. With the lack of events going on at the moment, it's going to be a bit harder to tell, so I would recommend selling this card sooner rather than later for closer to that $30 price point if you can. Next up, we'll touch on Buster Dragon really quickly here. So Buster Dragon actually got bought out a couple of days ago and was around $45 to $50 a piece lowest on TCG Player, but has since then quickly settled back down to around $25. I think the natural assumption here is that with the new Buster Blade or Link Monster coming out in Duel Overload, the fact that Buster Dragon is a key part of the lock, and the fact that Buster Dragon has never been reprinted made it a prime buyout target. However, as cute as their locks may be, I don't think that Buster Bladers are going to be a meta-relevant deck anytime soon, which is kind of obvious by how naturally and quickly the price has corrected itself back downwards. Alright guys, the final card I'm going to talk about here is Orchestrated Return. So this is another one of those cards that hasn't been reprinted yet, despite how Orcus were basically the best deck of the format just a few months ago. So while we have seen this card hit some crazy prices in the past, it has been pretty manageable as of late, floating between the $10 to $15 mark. However, with the last couple of Banlists destroying a ton of meta decks, and the fact that Mech Orcus Girsu comes out with the next set in Eternity Code, I think a lot of people are considering Orcus as the next top tier deck. As a result, we've actually seen this card jump all the way up to $20 kind of out of nowhere. This is something I'm kind of on the fence about. Even though I do think that the deck is going to be pretty solid, I don't think it's going to be the best deck of the format anymore. Also, I do think there's a very good chance that this card will be reprinted very soon, so it might not be the best idea to invest in this card now. Ultimately, with the lack of events, I personally would argue that it's better to stay away from this card until we have a clearer indication of what's going to happen in coming months. Alright everyone, that is it for today's episode. Hopefully it was informative for all of you. Now that we have the ban list, we should definitely have a clearer understanding of what to expect from both the game and the market over the next several months, starting whenever we do get events picking back up again. All that we need is to be able to start attending locals and events again, and we'll be good to go. But for now, expect a ton of different content from both Tombox and myself. I'm on a rotating schedule at work right now, so I will have some more free time to drum up some videos for you guys. But yeah, if you did enjoy this video, please hit that thumbs up button for me, and as always, leave a comment down below. Let me know what else is going on the market that maybe I didn't cover in this video, so I can potentially cover it in a future video and keep all of you guys up to date with the market as much as possible. And of course, if you haven't already, please consider subscribing to MST.TV, where both Tombox and myself will bring you all of the latest Yu-Gi-Oh content. And yeah, so until next time guys, don't forget to hold on to your MST.TV.